Hello, welcome back to Life Literature. Today I have in store for you a drama, Twilight of a Crane by Yuzuwa Junji Kinoshita. This is a Japanese drama. It creates cross-cultural understanding among nations. Also, it is basically about the themes of loyalty and honesty. So we'll have to get a close view of the drama. This drama, as I have told you, was staged first in 1949, and this was the time, the aftermath of the Second World War. Japan was badly and severely affected by the Second World War, and as a result, Japan and its whole nation had to come back to their earlier position, which they were in before the Second World War. For that, they were struggling hard. They were working non-stop, and their aim had been to achieve the status of number one among the nations of the world. For this, they had even sacrificed their own loving bonds of their families unknowingly. So Kinoshita was trying to focus on this in an implicit manner through the drama. I suggest that you should have a better knowledge and a thorough reading about the Second World War and its impacts on Japan. So if you do so, you will have a better understanding of the thematic relevances of this drama. With that, I would like to move on to the characters that we meet in the drama. In the drama, there are mainly only 4 characters, a single female character, and 3 male characters. The single female character is Sue. Sue is the symbiosis of man and animal, it seems. Why do I say so? Because Sue is half human and half animal. Sue is actually a bird who has transformed into a human form because of her love towards another human being, Yoho, an innocent peasant in this rural village in Japan. That is actually quite an unrealistic story, you must have noticed. But this story is actually a folk story which you find in Japan. So the drama is based on this folk story where an innocent crane who was wounded by 2 arrows of some malicious people was rescued by an innocent peasant in the village, and because of that the crane falls in love with this man, and she wants to pay her gratitude to this man who had become her savior throughout her whole life. So that's the beautiful story of bonds and the value of bonds that underlies the drama. So in that sense, Sue is the symbiosis of man and nature. And also, Sue represents nature and humanity as well, because the latter part of the drama is concerned about the humanity seen in this non-human creature, Sue. And not only that, Sue is seen as a very loving wife who cares for Yoho in a very devoted manner. She is truthful, she is honest, she is pure and principled. Principled in the sense she keeps to her words. She does not change her words. That is something we see throughout the drama with regard to Sue's character. She is free of guilt, she is free of deceit, and she has no desire for materialism at all. What she really needs is love. What she really needs is to be with Yoho and to spend her life happily and in a contented manner with Yoho, the man she loves. At this point, I remember one of her sayings. She says, "I'd like to live with you in this small house, peacefully and quietly without being troubled by anyone." It seems to be the only wish of her life. But unfortunately, she finds it really very difficult to stick to this simplicity she expects from life, because the very act she has taken to make her husband happy, to make her husband surprised by weaving a magical cloth called senbaori, which is the cloth of heaven, turns out to be the very doom of their life as well. There, the sacrifice and the sacrificial effort that she had taken to make Yoho happy is also can be observed. Why do I say that it is a sacrificial effort? Because it is said that every time she weaves a senbaori, she loses her weight. Why? Because she has to pick off her own feathers, not only one or two, 1,000 feathers from her own body in order to weave an original senbaori. So it should be really painful. It should be really hard. It should be really hard to tolerate the pain. Therefore, she is really a sacrificial wife. And also, you must have noticed when she had taken the decision to part from Yoho, she wanted to give her gift. She wanted to gift her husband with 2 senbaoris. So she, risking her life, tolerating the severe pain, she weaves 2 senbaoris at the same time and gives one to keep as a memory and the other to satisfy his growing hunger for money. So that's how she had become sacrificial in her life. So therefore we see Sue as a pure character. She is the whitest character of the drama. She does not change entirely throughout the drama. Therefore she is not dynamic but static. She is a static character. And also she is seen to be the character or the very picture of intelligence as well. Although she is not a human being, she understands the differences, the changes that occur in her life and the life that surrounds her family as well. So that's about Sue. And I forgot, Sue is the purest and the most innocent picture of love. She is the symbol of true love in this drama. Let's move on to the character of Yoho now. Yoho is a simple, innocent and contented character at the beginning, but we see him drastically change by the end of the drama. So therefore, he is a dynamic character. The Yoho, it's not the character of Yoho that we see at the end of the drama. Totally different. But his humanity was seen at the beginning because he was the savior of Sue as a bird. But he is a little bit weak in his character. There are some negative points in her character, unlike Sue. The negatives, the minus points in his character are he is weak physically and mentally as well. Can you remember when we first met Yoho in the drama? We saw him as inside a hut sleeping, and he was quite lazy to get up when the children called for Sue from outside. And not only that, he is a fallible character. Fallible means he is capable of making mistakes a lot. That's why we say he is a fallible character. And he is easily manipulated also. That means he could be controlled easily by others. He is swayed by others' decisions. We see how he changes his opinions and decisions according to the others to fit in with the others' ideas. Therefore, he vacillates and he is attracted by avarice as well. Earlier, he was not at all interested in money, he was not at all interested in materialism, but later on, we came to know how much he valued money, how much he preferred money. He is a naive character. He was so naive as to want to visit the business hub of Japan, Kyoto. He wanted to see how the flowers bloom there. He wanted to see how the celebrities move around the town in horse carriages. Though a grown-up man, he is such a naive character. But a plus point in him, he is so loving, caring and tender towards Sue. And he is a born idle as well. A very lazy character. He does not want to work hard. And we saw how the others noticed him coining money without lifting a finger over. Can you remember? So he is a born idle, an indolent man. So that's about Yoho. We'll talk about Unsu and Sudo now. I hope that you are very clear of Unsu and Sudo. When we talk about these two characters, we can always discuss them together because both of them possess similar characteristics. In this drama, we see these two characters as the symbols of materialism and symbols of corruption as well. Out of the two characters, Sudo seemed to be more sinister, the hardcore capitalist in this drama, the person who has more greed towards money and materialistic things. And in Unsu, we see a bit more softness in his character. He is sensitive to others' troubles. He is sensitive to others' feelings. He feels when Yoho and Sue depart forever. He feels it when Sue was seen inside the weaving room, pacing to and fro on the loom, heavily indulged in hard work. He felt it. So therefore, Sudo is the hardcore capitalist, the most corrupted person out of the two. They are the representatives of materialism. They are the agents of commerce and capitalism as well. They are totally governed and controlled by avarice for money. So in the entire drama, we see them in a never-ending chase after money. And also they are cunning and shrewd also. Can you remember how Sudo stopped Unsu when he was about to tell the truth of the real value of the Senba Ori to Yoho? He wanted to tell Yoho that it's only hundreds of dollars in value, not thousands. Can you remember that? So they are very shrewd and cunning, and they could make others do what they want. And also they are ignorant, superstitious. They were really afraid, especially Unsu was really afraid about the story about a crane who transformed into a woman. He was so superstitious rather than Sudo, really opportunistic and profit oriented, and they give no value to human bonds, especially Sudo. He does not know what love is. He does not know what bonds are. He does not feel when the bonds are broken. So that's how we see Unsu and Sudo in the drama. The strong avarice of Unsu and Sudo is clearly seen in this quotation. See whether you can remember this. We are in the big business of making money. What the hell will sympathy and pity do? So those are the words of Sudo. And also he says at the very last stage of the drama when the crane was flying crooked, and when Yoho was looking at the crooked in sorrow and grief, he was so opportunistic and he was so rude enough to say, "It's very nice to have got 2 pieces of the cloth. God bless us." Can you remember that? So these examples support that they are really shrewd, opportunistic, and heartless. His sharpness is very well seen in these words. What? Hundreds of dollars? Really? You say hundreds of? So that's the fascination we see that had developed in him for money. That is the way how he had started loving money, which had become the curse, which ultimately becomes the curse of his life. And also this change is observed by Sue as well. She once says, "You were once so innocent and kind that you could take the arrow out of my back solely through tender-heartedness, and only out of sympathy for me. I was deeply touched by it." So there she unveils how innocent and how kind-hearted and how less opportunistic Yoho had been at the very beginning. And even that had been the cause for her to fall in love with Yoho. And she asks this question from Yoho at another time. "Are you so terribly anxious to go to Kyoto? Are you so terribly anxious for money?" So those 2 questions unveil the anxiousness that Yoho entertains to earn money and to have fun in life, which had never been in his life before. And Yoho himself answers to these questions. He himself reveals the change that had occurred in his character. These are his words. No one can be indifferent to money. That is the universal idea about money that most people are engaged with. Many of us believe that we can't do anything without money. So those are the words that Yoho is also uttering at this point. A man who was not at all interested in such things has now completely changed. So he is actually speaking the words of Unsu and Sodo, and he is actually speaking the words of materialism, words of capitalism. So by now he had become a victim of materialism and capitalism. Without money, he believes there's no contentment in life. There's no bliss in life. So this is the change that had occurred in Yoho, and therefore to the change of Yoho, the family life of Yoho and Sue is also changed. Earlier they had been quite a happy couple, but now Sue is concentrating on the differences, and she constantly feels sad, and she is disturbed by the intrusion of these 2 strangers, of their language. She does not understand, but she very well understands that they are the looming dangers, they are the threats to their family life. So this is the change that had occurred. Now we'll look at the external influences that had come in between these 2 characters, Yoho and Sue. The external influences. What are the external influences that had changed their lives? These external influences are seen or symbolically presented through the agents of corruption, Unsu and Sodo. They are quite smart enough to grab hold of this opportunity, the extraordinary opportunity. It had become an extraordinary opportunity because it is one of the rarest things that could ever happen, weaving of a Senba Ori. And having Senba Oris in the world of human, because the Senba Ori is a magical cloth, such a fascinating cloth. It is actually the cloth of heaven. You need 1,000 feathers of a live hen crane to weave a real, original, authentic Senba Ori. So taking 1,000 feathers from a living hen crane, look at the conditions, look at the limitations. You cannot just have a crane. The crane should be a hen crane, a she crane. And you cannot kill the crane in order to take the feathers. The crane should be alive at the moment of plucking the cranes. And you cannot just be satisfied by 1 or 2 feathers. You have to pluck 1,000 feathers out of the crane. Look at the strong limitations. Look at how this act is made impossible for human beings. It is none other than a creature like a symbol of symbiosis of human world and the spiritualistic world can do this. So these limitations tell us how they have made use of, they means Unzu and Sudo had made use of this great opportunity. They had become shrewd enough to grab hold of this opportunity, the rarest of all, and they were shrewd enough to take advantage of it. So those are the external influences, and through them the drastic change that had occurred in the Japanese society is also well depicted. Not only through Unzu and Sudo, even through the character of Yoho, this drastic change is symbolically presented. This is what happened to the Japanese society by the end of the Second World War. The aftermath of Second World War had marked this drastic change, and therefore the lives of Japanese people became extremely unhappy, unsatisfactory, because they were in the constant chase after money and materialism. It does not only suit the Japanese culture and Japanese society. This is what is being happening in the entire world also. Even as Sri Lankans, we know even now we are faced with the same problem. We all run after materialism. We all run after better things. We all run after money. It is quite a rat race after such things. In this rat race, we forget about everything else. We forget who's there just behind us, who's there just with us in our lives. We forget to make them happy. We forget that they need us because we are focusing on one thing, that is to earn money, to live luxurious lives. And we have this ideology of a better life, a comfortable life. We have this ideology, actually it is a fake ideology, that life is happy if you have money. Life is happy if you have comforts. Life's happiness depends on money and comforts. That is the ideology we all run after. We have forgotten it is a fake ideology. By the time Yoho understands that, he was too late. Can you remember? By the time he understands that Su had decided to leave him, he was grabbing hold of the 2 senbaoris so tightly and weeping, almost fainting, held by Unzu, of course. Almost faintish he was, and he was concentrating, he was focusing on the far away disappearing crooked shadow of Su. And there he did not want to part with any of the senbaoris, even though Su herself had suggested, you can sell one of them and you can keep one to remember me. He did not want to sell even a single because he There he had understood, he had realized that happiness does not lie on money. Happiness does not lie on materialism. But by that time, he was too late. So, those are the external influences that we come across. Now, let's focus on the devices that we see here in the drama. There are some devices which are quite interesting. The first and the foremost, as I see in this drama, is how suspense is created here in the drama. Suspense plays as quite a vital role in this drama because the spectator, the audience is kept on pins because of this suspense which Kinoshita is being able to create. So, suspense is first created through the identity of So. So many people, that means so many characters in the drama, wonder who this So really is, especially Unzo and Zodo. And along with Unzo and Zodo, the audience, the viewers too, is in suspense to find out who actually So is. There are so many clues to stamp the idea that So is really not normal. There's something peculiar about So. To remember or to have a insight to this, I can name some of the incidents in the drama that I have found out. The first thing, there's a place where Yoho says that Sue appeared like a wind to his life. When Unzo was questioning him about how did they get married, when did Sue come to his house, it was the answer that Yoho gives. She appeared like a wind. This simile used by the dramatist is quite filled with meaning because it stamps only an idea of curiosity. Her whereabouts is not clear. From where she had come just like a wind. And another place is that Unsu says that lazy fellow has been coining money without lifting a finger over. So we get the question, how? If Yoho is so lazy, but if he has been able to coin money without lifting a finger over, that means not doing anything at all, just by sleeping by the fire, how does he earn such a lot of money? Can you remember? Inside their falling down hut, at one corner, there had been a sack of gold coins. Can you remember that? And another place, she won't let anyone see her in the weaving. So that's also very curious. Why doesn't Sue allow anybody to see her weaving in the weaving room? Not even her husband she allows to watch. And especially she wants to keep it as a secret from her husband. She keeps on repeating the same request. Please don't look. Please don't look. If you look, it will be the end of our relationship. Why such an intense thought? Why such an intense idea? So that is also a little bit queer, isn't that so? And another thing, every time she weaves the cloth, the senbori, she loses weight. How come that happens? We wonder, isn't it so? Not only Unzo and Yoho, even the spectators wonder. Even though it is not a problem for Yoho, maybe because he is dull-witted, maybe because he is not that intelligent. And another place, the story of a bewitched crane, can you remember, that married a man? So from the beginning to the beginning of the drama, this story is being highlighted by these two fellows, Unzo and Sudo. So that connection to that story is also quite arouses the curiosity of the spectators. And that news, can you remember, which someone has brought in, a villager who had seen a beautiful young woman who had come to the river, just transforms into a crane, and then she disappears, and once again she becomes a human being. So that story of a villager also fits very much with the story of that bewitched crane who fell in love with a human being. So all these things, when fit together, is like a puzzle. So this puzzle is really unveiled at the end of the drama, because Sue is seen as the crane who's been said and who's been suspected as a bird, not as a human being. So that's how suspense is created throughout the drama, especially at the first part of the drama. And then another very important device that I have seen in the drama is irony. The best irony of all is the very thing, the very present that Sue had given to Yoho had become their doom. Sue had wanted to make Yoho happy, but in turn, what had happened? Yoho turned extremely unhappy. He could not be contented of life. He wanted more and more. He wanted more things. He wanted better things. He wanted to see the world. He wanted to experience the world, and there was no end to his demands. And finally, as Sue thought to leave, what happened to Yoho? Was he happy? Was he contented at the end? No, he was totally devastated. He actually understood, but he was too late. So that's the irony, the best of irony that we find here in the drama. And the song, of course, is quite symbolical. There is a song in the drama at the very beginning of the drama, and also in between the song. It basically gives the mood of the drama, gives a kick to the drama at the very beginning. A kick start to the drama is given, and also it conveys the pristine love where there is total commitment for each other in a family, within a family. So it talks about the pristine love. Let's sew a cushion for grandma, let's sew a cushion for grandpa. The song is very much symbolical and conveys the entire meaning of the drama. And next, the title. Look at the title of the drama, Twilight of a Crane. What is being suggested by the twilight? Twilight is actually a short-lived period of the day. Twilight is short-lived. And not only that, it is a transient period of the day. It transforms the day from daylight to darkness. So this transient short period of life is symbolically equal to the transient short love life or the marriage that Sue and Yoho had in their lives. They were quite happy at the beginning because there had been light in their lives, even though they were so poor and lived in a falling down hut. They were quite happy in each other's company, but the darkness arrives with Unzu and Sudo, and the total darkness engulfs them, suggesting or marking the departure of Sue. So that is the significance of the title. And there are metaphors, some powerful metaphors. The best of metaphor that I can focus my attention on is the metaphor suggested by that game called Kagomi. Can you remember that game? So in this game, what happens is someone here, Sue, is placed inside a circle of children. While she was standing blindfolded, the children runs surrounding her in a circle. The children run surrounding her in a circle, and at once a single child comes and stands behind Sue and asks the question, who's standing behind you? And Sue has to guess in her blindfolded standing. She has to guess who's there behind her. And while playing this game, can you remember the song they sing? The song is something like this. Here we go round, walking a bird in the cage, walking round and round, round and round, until evening, until morning. Now will you tell us who's behind you? So that's the song the children sing. So the children are singing and circling round Sue, and the circle is symbolically interpreted as the cage, and the person inside is the bird. So this is actually quite ironical as well, because we know in real life also, in reality also, Sue is actually a bird, and she's been imprisoned by this cage. What do you think is this cage? This cage in which she is entrapped. This cage is the cage of love. She is entrapped here in this world of human beings because of love. She cannot leave Yoho because she loves Yoho. That's why she stays in this cage, imprisoned quite willingly. But mind, she is blindfolded. Why can't she see? Why is she blind? Because love has blinded her, and she has not identified or understood who really Yoho is, although she thought she knows him. So she is blindfolded, and Yoho is standing behind her in her real life. She had not yet identified Yoho, his reality. Right? So that's why they say we are there going round you until evening and until morning. That means the passing of days. That means life, the passing life. So it symbolically presents that Sue is unaware of the real ways of Yoho, and she had not identified him properly. She is being blindfolded in this love. So that is the best of the metaphors that I have come across in the drama. So those are the metaphors. Other than these metaphors, there are these games symbolizing different aspects of life, like run, shape, run, snowball fights and all. So the threat and the innocent, how the innocent flee away from the threats. Innocent like Sue, innocence like Yoho, and the wolfish people are Unzu and Sudo. So that game, run, shape, run, symbolize metaphorically the threat of the shrewd people on the innocent people of the world. So such are the devices that we get, and also there are some elements of flashback and foreshadowing as well. Flashback and foreshadowing. I hope that you can figure that out by yourselves, because that's a simple method, a simple device. And now I would like to, as my final part, move on to the themes. So the themes are, actually we have discussed already. I would like to summarize this quickly by focusing on the themes. The number one theme is love as the foundation of happiness and peace of life. Love is the foundation. Without love, you are nowhere. Love in the sense, not only the love between the husband and wife, not only the love between two lovers, it is the love of all sorts. Love between parents and children, grandparents and grandchildren, love between and among friends. So love basically is the life-giving factor to our lives. Without this life-giving factor, without this spring, we are nowhere in our world. Other things are just secondary. All other things are secondary to love and bonds of our lives. So that is the main and basic theme of this drama. The second one goes against that, stands aloof from this theme. The second theme is greed for money, that is avarice. and the attachment towards materialism is the corrupting element of our life. That is, avarice and materialism as the corrupting elements of our lives. Happiness and contentment of life is being shattered by these things if we pursue them limitlessly, boundlessly. Of course, we need some money to run our lives. Of course, we need some comforts to live in good or better living conditions. We need them. They are essentials, of course, but we need to know our limits. We need to know our boundaries, because we have to put our family, we have to put our loves, we have to put our bonds as number one, not anything else. Materialism and comforts and money should be secondary. And thirdly, this is the theme is nature versus human being. So nature is represented by Su, human being is represented by Yoho, Unzu and Zodo, and children as well. So there is a clash always between nature and human beings. So what happens at the end in this drama is nature is defeated. Nature is seen flying away, giving up on all hopes and flying crooked, affected, harmed and hurt. So nature is hurt always by human beings, and the back result of it, the counter result of it is also not good. Was Yoho happy at the end by harming nature? No, we see Yoho grabbing those two senbaoris, crying and weeping, understanding the reality. So ultimately, the counter effect of harming nature is a harm done to ourselves. We harm ourselves by harming nature. That's what happened to Yoho. So the clash, this eternal clash between nature and human beings is also brought forth here. And the final one, but not the least important one, I think this is the most important one. The drama brings a very strong message especially to the younger generation of the world, especially to the younger generation of Japan. But since this drama has a very universal effect on the whole community of the world, we can call it a message given to the entire younger generation of the world. It is given through that symbolic effect that all the children ran after the shadow of the crooked crane. They did not want to stop and see what happened to Yoho. They did not want to pay any interest on Unzu and Sudo. They were not attracted by the beautiful Senba Oris. They went after the shadow of the crooked crane, which symbolizes you have to follow the spiritualistic elements of life. You should not follow, you should not tread behind materialism, money and things like that. In order to find contentment and happiness of life, follow nature, follow simplicity, follow honesty, follow loyalty, just as so. That is the most important message the dramatist presents the spectators here through the drama. So I hope that you have got a clear insight to the drama, and I hope that I have been useful for you, and I know that this is a very short analysis of the drama, but anyway, thank you for watching, and if you have any problems, if you have any doubts, just comment below and I am ever willing to answer you. Have a nice time. Let's meet in another clip.